How's it going, everybody? It is Dennis here, and we're back with another video. Of course, it's that time of the month. It's the end of March. Actually, we're in April already, and we have to go over how much income we made for the month of March, if that's off dividends and option income. We're going to go ahead and look at them all separately and then add them all together at the end of the video to see if we beat last month, if we made less, if we made more, and what is our outlook for the next month. Of course, I love being transparent as possible. I have all these pages up that show all my dividends and option income I made, so none of these numbers are made up. So let's go ahead and get straight into March. Of course, that's after February, and now we're in April, so let's go ahead and look at March. So OHI, no payment. Of course, it's a quarterly based ETF, so no payment for March from OHI. For Stag, we have $3.97 compared to $3.96 from February. Nothing great, no huge growth. We have $11.38 from Maine, which is double of what we had in February. But of course, we did increase position size, so this is expected. We have $48.58 from APLY compared to the $19.99 from February. And of course, this is getting into YieldMax ETFs. And if you guys did not already know, the reason for this growth of $48.58 from $19.99 is not because the dividends were more. It's because I had increased the amount of shares I have in APLY, because my new strategy now is to take 50% of my AMZY and TSLY dividends, go ahead and reinvest it back to TSLY and AMZY, and then the other 50% reinvest into other option income-based strategies and other ETFs such as APLY. So this $48.58 was from the increase in shares and not from the increase of dividend payment. Now going into TSLY, we have $262.91, a little bit more than February. Of course, this was before I started reinvesting the 50% back in, so this is just from dividends being increased by, I think it was 0.01 or 0.01. Yeah, I think it was 0.80 before, now it's 0.81 for the month of March. AMZY is down a little bit. We're at $126.79 compared to $135 in February. But we do have a good amount of growth from AMZY just from the value growing higher. So that's very good. I don't mind the lower dividend. The value is still going higher of the shares itself. I'm pretty sure it's up almost 20% to this day. So not bad. I don't mind it. Coney, of course, we're no longer tracking, no longer receiving dividends. So it's no longer on our payout page. But for GOOY, we have $15.32. It is lower than February. It is higher than January. But that is, of course, because dividends were decreased a little bit for this month for GOOY. Now we have a new one on our spreadsheet, and that is YMAX, which paid $14.77. And this is a position that is smaller than GOOY. So it's pretty impressive that we got $14.77. Of course, they pay around 30% for the year. So it's pretty impressive for the position we have, getting $14.77. And also there is share appreciation or the growth in value. Now for HTGC, we got $53.75, which is higher than the last quarter. Of course, this is a quarterly paying dividend. So last quarter was $52.15. Now we have $53.75. Going next to SPHD, we have an increase to $3.75. This is also because of the increase in shares. I increased the amount of shares I have in SPHD, so this is not because of dividends. EFC was $13.30 compared to $13.13 of last month. DHS was $13.37 compared to $9.59 of last month, and this one was also an increase in shares, not an increase in dividend payments, because I've been adding more money of my portfolio, or more of my portfolio into these funds, because these are a little bit safer, especially with times now getting a little bit harder and a little bit more unexpected, especially with rate cuts not coming in when expected. So I am putting some of my portfolio into more safer funds such as DHS, SPHD, and all these other funds like mentioned. Now, SCHH paid us $3.74, another quarterly ETF, a little bit higher than $3.28 of previous quarter. Now, an unexpected one to me, and a new one on this list, is TSLL, which paid $47.29. Very unexpected. I did not expect them to pay dividends, nor did I know they paid dividends, but they did. And it was quite appreciated since Tesla has been dropping, and it did a huge drop today, the day of filming this video, which is April 2nd. They released how many cars they sold for this quarter, or the first quarter of 2024, and it was under expectations. So having the $47.29 paid out in March is pretty good. Thank you so much, TSLL. It has lowered my average value of the shares I hold, which is pretty good for when you're doing options trading and when the stock continues to fall. But hopefully that changes in the next couple months or the next quarters if Tesla shows good signs. But moving on with my total dividend income earned for the month of March, which is $618.92, which is higher than the previous month of February of $488.98, but lower than January for $728.75, and lower than the month before of December of $663.81. The reason being, dividend payouts were a little bit lower. Of course, December, we had a bunch of bonuses that came in. January was very volatile for dividend payments, so that was pretty good when it came from YieldMax ETFs, as well as we had Coney paying us dividends, so that did boost it a little bit more. But also, since the value fell of these YieldMax ETFs, especially TSLY, the dividend payments relative to how much I have invested also fell, which I mentioned in my previous video, which was a mistake I made, but that was why we had the $488.98 in February. But now we're slowly increasing back up to $618.92. So we're slowly trending back up on dividend payments, and it will continue to trend up when we start reinvesting back into these YieldMax ETFs instead of taking 100% out. Now, we move on to options, but before we do, of course, I have to show you guys, these are all the dividend payments being completely transparent, nothing to hide here. Of course, I do not like hiding any information. This is all being transparent, and I'm not, making up these numbers as we go. So, $618.92 is how much we earned. Let's move on to options. Now, for option income, we earned $919 from RIOT. This is from 2 trades we did. We did a trade on cash secured put for $316 and a covered call roll for $603, which earned us $919, which is exactly what we earned on the previous month of $919. So yeah, that's pretty funny. We earned the same amount. I don't know how that happened, but we did. And it's definitely better than the negative $1387 we had in December. So that is definitely appreciated. For TSLL, we had a little bit lower than the previous month. The previous months we had $213. Now we have $110. The reason for $110, of course, like I mentioned, Tesla continued to fall, and so the TSLL continues to fall with it, especially since it's 1.5 times leverage, which is going to be switching over to 2 times leverage, which does mean more premium and more volatility, but also means if it goes down, it will go down faster than Tesla. But $110 earned on TSLL, and of course, these are all the trades I made. I slowly started switching my trades for TSLL. I now no longer do weekly trades. I started doing the monthly trades because they do give better yields, especially when my average is a little bit higher than I want it to be, meaning I can do lower trades because then I take a risk of trading under my average and then taking a loss that I would not want to take. And then I end up in a situation like I had in December where I have to pay for my option contracts to get them back, and I don't want to do that. So now I'm just doing monthly trades at the average that I have for the shares, and therefore I am safe. I'm not going to lose money in case Tesla spikes back up, but I will also continue to earn some type of income from TSLL. And the reason, by the way, for the 619 is because I entered into Tesla at quite a low level, or quite of a risky level, and then it dropped when I entered that position. So I did make $619, but then I also kind of messed myself up a little bit because my average is high now. But besides that, let's move on to TNA, which paid us $106 compared to the $135 from the last month. Once again, a little bit lower, not as low as TSLL to the previous month, but a little bit lower than the $135, with this month earning us $106. And of course, these are all the trades I took. As you can see, the reason for that being is because we made $6 on one roll, 19 and 14 on the other. The reason being is because TNA continued to keep going higher. Of course, we're taking a little bit more safer trades on TNA because once again, it is leverage and it does move around a lot, but it does follow the market somewhat. Of course, it's small caps stocks, so it's not following S&P 500 one-to-one. It's a little bit, it's based on small cap stocks. So recently, small cap stocks have been moving upwards, which is good for the market because it means, the market is actually moving up and it's not just NVIDIA holding up the whole S&P 500, but that's not what this video is about. So small caps are going up, and because small caps are going up, TNA is also going up, and I'm not able to keep up with the growth. Of course, now TNA has been dropping a little bit, so hopefully this next month, if it stays at a stable amount, we'll be able to do stable trades and make more income, and as well as put maybe a couple more contracts into TNA, because I'm actually liking TNA a lot. TNA is very stable. It's very reliable. Of course, as you can see, it makes a good median, a good average income. It does return roughly to 40 to 60% return yearly. So I wouldn't mind investing in it compared to something like RIOT and TSLL, because they're a little bit more volatile based off Bitcoin and Tesla. Now, how much did I make off options? Well, off options, I made $1,135, which is, of course, lower than last month of February, where I made $1,267, lower than January, where I made $1,675. But like I mentioned before, we took a risky trade with TSLL, and of course we paid for it in the long term. This is why we say take safer trades. Don't look at the short term, look at the long term, because you'll end up paying it later. And here I took $619 in the short term, but later on, now I'm only earning $110 a month or $200 a month. So, you know, risk reward, it didn't play out. If it would have played out well, it would have been nice, but Tesla obviously fell, and therefore it didn't work out to my advantage. But we are still making $1,135 just off options and $618.92 off dividends. That adds up to a grand total of $1,753.92. Of course, it is still an impressive number. It is not higher than the previous month, and actually, with the option income being lower, the dividend income actually came in clutch for this month, bringing us to $1,753.92, a little bit lower than the $1,755.98 of last month, roughly $2. But that's nothing. Still a pretty good amount. That means we're staying stable now. We're not going up and down, left and right. We're staying stable at a stable amount. Hopefully it continues to grow in the coming months once the market stables out a little bit, because right now nobody really knows what's going on. Some stocks are up, some stocks are down. S&P 500 is up, but all the other stocks are not having a great time. So we'll see what happens in the coming months. Maybe interest rates start getting cut and Tesla starts going back up, and these options and dividend income will increase, but that we'll have to see. Of course, compared to the 2,400 in January, it's nothing compared to that, but that was also skewed by the CONI payments, which brought our dividends up to 728, as well as the 619 we made off options. But it's way better than we had in December, negative 501, and it is better than we had in the previous months of $1,601. So we are trending upwards. Right now we are stable in these past 2 months, or from the past 2 months, we're at 1755 level. But we are trending upwards, and you'll see in April, hopefully, that we continue to trend upwards on value. I'm trying to get to at least above maybe $2,500 level a month when we get to the end of 2024, maybe even higher, but we will see. That is still far to come. Now, what is my expectations for the month of April, the next month after March, of course, which we're in right now. So at the month of April, I'm expecting us to get more dividends from TSLY and from APLY and from YMAX and from APLY. That is because, once again, like I said, my strategy now is 50% reinvested, 50% into other ETFs. Those other ETFs will be APLY, YMAX, and GOOY. So those will have higher dividends. The TSLY and AMZY will continue to average down and therefore hold its dividends, or maybe grow its dividends, depending where TSLY and AMZY go. Of course, TSLY went down because Tesla went down. AMZY continues to go up because Amazon goes up. So we'll see where that ends up, where the dividends are. We'll see what they are in April. They're going to be released tomorrow, actually, of when I'm recording this video on the Tuesday of April 2nd. They're going to be released on Wednesday, April 3rd. So we'll see how those do. Of course, I also think that my option income will increase as well, as TNA maybe slowly starts slowing down and coming down. My option income will be able to grow a little bit more, since premiums will increase on the lower level of where I am right now. And also, once I get dividends and option for next month, I'll be able to put them back into TNA and maybe have an extra contract to trade on. And with TSLL as well, if Tesla starts trending upwards after this bad report, if it trends back upwards, then also my option income will increase as well. For RIOT, it's probably going to stay stable. I'm not adding contracts, nor am I getting rid of contracts just yet. If Bitcoin ends up going up and therefore RIOT goes up with it, of course, it doesn't fully follow Bitcoin, as we've noticed, or if you've been tracking RIOT, it doesn't follow Bitcoin 100% one-to-one. But if it does go up with Bitcoin halving, if it does go up with Bitcoin going up, and then I'll probably end up selling off my RIOT contracts. Like I said before, I've been trying to exit this position at a profit. I don't want to exit as just a baseline of what I averaged in at, because I do want to make up for this 1387 lost back in December. So we'll see what happens. Of course, I don't mind making almost $1,000 just off RIOT contracts. There is a lot of my position to it. I do have a lot of contracts into it. As you guys saw here, I have 9 contracts in just a covered call roll, and then I have 4 contracts in a put. So it's a lot of my portfolio in the RIOT, but of course it is paying off. It's giving me a good amount of option income and almost 100% return on the yearly basis. So yeah, that has been my total income, my grand total for March. Thank you so much everybody for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something. Of course, these videos are not made just to show off. I just want to show what I'm doing, what trades I'm doing, what ETFs I'm invested in, what option income I'm trading. So therefore, you guys can maybe implement it into your own portfolios. Of course, it's not financial advice. It's just a way for you to compare your option income, your dividend income to my option income, my dividend income, and maybe see where you could add on a little bit more, or maybe you can minus off a little bit more. Maybe you don't want to take the same risk I do. It's just a learning experience. And this is just for me a way to track my own growth and also share it with you guys. So once again, thank you so much for watching. If you guys want to check out the last month's payment, you guys can check it out right here. Of course, you guys see here as well. But if you guys want my breakdown from last month, you can check it out right here. And also, if you guys want to check out my previous video, which is on the Robinhood credit card, which is also a very interesting video. It did not get as many views as I expected it to, but it's a very knowledgeable and very interesting video. And if you are investing with Robinhood, you should definitely take a look at it. So that'll be in the description as well as popping up right now. And I'll see you guys in the next video. See you guys.